Good morning, everyone. My PowerPoint is going to be a little different from what was shown. This is a lot about our community, and we were involved in the BP oil spill. Well, our community, our tribal members were included in the cleanup. That's a bowl you see in the first picture. Okay, this is the background of our community. We're a community of about 700 members, tribal members, in Lower Pointe Au Chien. Our ancestors lived here, there since before Louisiana became a state. Other tribes moved into Pointe Au Chien to merge with us. The name of our tribe is Pointe Au Chien Indian Tribe, but we're Chitimacha, Choctaw, and Biloxi Indians. And that's why we always put that other in, tribal members came into our area and merged with some of our ancestors. So we have different bloodlines because of that. And we've always been farmers and fishermen. We always did live off the land. And where we live now, you can go by car, but where our ancestors were before was like 6 or 9 miles from where we were, where they had a lot more land, and they actually could walk to the Gulf of Mexico and just have one area where there was water that they could cross, but they could still cross, by foot or by horse. And the rerouting of the Mississippi River and the oil and gas, that impacted our traditional lands. Our ancestors planted sugar cane, made their own sugar where they were, and we'd have floods and all those things whenever they rerouted the Mississippi River, but then everything changed. And we used to be, well not we, our ancestors used to be able to drink the water that was in the canals, in the bayous, but that's no longer, they can no longer do that. And the oil companies tried to cut in some of our cemeteries, and our tribal members had to go with guns to stop them. And the Indians, well, I went to an all-Indian school, but in Pointe Au Chien, I was raised in Houma. My mom's from Pointe Au Chien, but in the area of Pointe Au Chien, they didn't get to go to school until I think it was 1966 or 1967, before they could go to high school. Most tribal members are fishermen or work on tugboats or in the oil field or in school. We have, in our tribe, we have a lot of school teachers. And this is, why is it doing that? Did I push something? But anyway, this is the map of 1806, and that's whenever they had a lot of land, and all they had was the little bitty lakes, and now it's all open waters. Okay, and this is the issues that the tribe's facing. Coastal laws impact on our lands, and our sacred sites, because of the cuts that Louisiana land made. It's like, we call them in French a tranas. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it's just a cut, like it's about 3 feet long, and they just go in and cut, and they say, well, this is our land. And that's how they took tribal lands. And then we have the environmental disasters. And right now we're trying to maintain our culture and the community and our identity as a tribe. And this is just, it shows where, I don't know how to use the pointer, but the star on the other side is Pointe Au Chien. That's our community. tribes lived on natural, and you know, we always did live here. Our ancestors always did live here. And our properties, our sacred sites, and our cemeteries are our history that are, they're threatened. Like we have several mounds and we have several cemeteries, but you can only get to them by boat. Like right now, we're in the process of working with Terrebonne and the Fouche Parish, and I forget the name of the organization, but they'll be coming into our area to do an artificial oyster reef to save one of our mounds, because we've lost a good part of the mound so far. We've lost a lot of artifacts. And then they're all falling into the water. And this is just to show like the lakes that we had, how they were surrounded by land before, and now like Lake Chien and Lake Billiard. Lake Billiard still has a little marsh around it, but Lake Chien, whenever you get into Lake Chien, we take people out on the boat, and whenever we get to Lake Chien, people think we're in the Gulf because there's no land as far as you can see. There's no land. And that's our first lake. And this is where families used to live. And it's a lot of land, and they had a lot of trees. And I remember this whenever I was younger. I don't remember this part, but where my grandfather lived, we had to go by boat, and it was a lot of trees, cows, horses, and we lived off, we always did live off the land. And the French we speak is not the Cajun French. It's, we call it the Indian French because there's a lot of Choctaw words in our French. And we're trying to bring back our French, but it's hard to get the schools to do this. So this is just some of the things that we do. We have culture camp once a year, and we take our children out to the mounds and to the cemeteries, and then we also take them out to show them all the canals that the oil companies have cut, because they have cut a lot by our cemeteries and by our mounds. That's why our mounds are washing away, because of the cuts they made and the current coming in and widening up the canals and eating up away. And then this is just stuff that we have. And then this was how it was way back whenever our ancestors were still living out 6-9 miles from where we are now. Where we are now, there's no one living there, but there is cattle, still cattle. And here they used to have horses and cows and a bridge crossing from Terrebonne to the Fouche. That's the Pointe Au Chien bayou. And this is where our ancestors used to live, where the cattle are. This is a recent picture. We still have cattle there. And this is just our annual youth culture camp, things that we do. They do all, like this year, they started to build a palmetto house, and that's what our ancestors used to live in. Something like this, but this one has wood in it, and the one we built with the children, it has no wood except for the branches from a willow tree. And this is just some of the land. And then this is to show like whenever the oil companies came in. This is still just oil companies in the maps. And this is all the canals that the oil companies cut into our areas. This is a map to show all the land loss from 1968 to 2008. And the environmental disasters. BP in 2010, when BP happened, you know, you talk about the mental health and all. Well, my husband was very angry whenever the oil spill happened. And whenever he was asked to work for, he didn't even want to go do the cleanup. And he was so angry, he said that they didn't just take my livelihood away, they also took our source of food away. And after the BP oil spill, before it got a lot into our area, real close to where we fish, well, we filled up, we bought another freezer, and we filled up our freezers with shrimp. I didn't eat fresh shrimp for 3 years because of the BP oil spill. I wouldn't eat, well, not just shrimp, I didn't eat any seafood until, I think it was 2014 before I ate shrimp because I ran out of in my freezer. But they're still catching. I told Christine this morning, I forgot, my husband's been shrimping, and he brought a plate one day with something on it, and he says, look, he says, I brought you this from my mom. She kind of burnt them, and he wanted me to do this to Christine, tell her that I burnt some chocolate chip cookies. But it's some oil. It's from the, I guess there's a mat on the bottom where he's fishing, and they're still catching this, and he wanted me to break it to, you know, to show, for me to see the oil. I said, I'm not touching that. But there's still, you know, there's still that, because they sunk it, it's still there. So, you know, it makes me wonder, is our seafood still safe? You know, I don't know. When it first happened, well, we had, Dillard University did a shrimp sample for us, where Noah said, yeah, the shrimp was safe, but according to Dillard, they had stuff in it. And then bucket brocades, or I think that's the name of it. Well, they did a sample on the oysters, which Noah said, well, the oysters were good too, but they found stuff in the oysters too. So they sent me the report of that, and you know, whenever I went to Summit in Seattle, Washington, and they were there, so I brought my paperwork and I showed them. Well, you saying it's good, but look, these two people are saying our seafood's not safe. So, but anyway, that's why I didn't do it till 2014. And anyway, we're affected by hurricanes, and like I was telling Nicole and Julie a little while ago, you know, the hurricanes, they're protecting us with the Morganza to the Gulf, but then they're not doing anything on the outside, you know, to save the marsh. We have hardly any protection from hurricanes and from the tidal surge. Now we have a floodgate, but the erosion is bad because of BP really accelerated it, because whenever it went into our marsh, it killed our marsh, and then it caused it to wash away. And then the diminishing wildlife, we don't have a lot of wildlife anymore because of the marsh being gone. They used to be trappers, they no longer trap. And this is just some pictures that, you know, some sites that are disappearing, like where my grandfather lived, there's just a little bitty strip of land left. This is just maps of Terrebonne in different days. And this was after Hurricane Rita or Gustav, I don't remember. But she had water up over her roof. And then the extraction causing the subsidence of our land and the sinkholes and all the problems that we have in our area. This is our neighboring community, the island, Isle of Jean Charles. I'm sure everybody's heard of that, about their relocation, wanting to relocate and all. Well, they're not in the levee system, so they're threatened. And then this is the hope for the future to solve issues. But like BP said that they would do some work in our area after the spill, but we never did get any help, like for restoration or anything. And this is our contact information. And that's it.
Could you put that back, please?